working with Steve Letarte and Jeff Burton and Rick Allen, when we're all building friendships to where we like to hang out together, whether people are listening to us or not. So after a few, when we first go into the booth, there's some nerves, and as soon as you kick the show off or kick the race off, it's a little clunky and feels weird, and you're nervous, and those nerves create problems for you. But after a few minutes, you're just hanging out with a buddy, and you forget about the cameras are even there. You're just watching a race, and you and him are just kind of teeing off on what you're seeing, and you're both trying to one-up each other about like seeing what's happening and finding the interesting things going on the track, whether it's a battle between two guys, whether somebody's trying some crazy strategy, or a guy's in the fence, or a guy's coming to pit road too early. He's got an unscheduled start. Whoever, you're trying to be the guy that sees it first. Look, And, when there's a great battle going on, you're kind of elbowing each other like, man, look at this crazy, and you're both enjoying it, and you forget that you forget about the audience, or they're kind of in the conversation too. It's definitely not as nerve-wracking, or I'm not as nervous as I thought I would be. And I think being doing the podcast helps. So we got a lot of people listening.
Yeah.
And so if you do make a mistake, you're going to hear about it. You can make mistakes in here that are going to cause you some trouble. You're going to have to do some explaining. And so that makes you, keeps you on your toes. It's good practice, It's good practice, because I feel like it's helped me a lot, going into the booth.
Why decide to get into broadcasting so quickly after you finished racing, as opposed to taking some more time off?
Yeah. I thought about taking a year off, and I talked about it quite a few times with my sister when we were talking about getting close to retirement. I'm like, man, I just love to just break away for a year and then come back to whatever it is I'm going to do. And I think that the fact that NBC does the second half of the year made it easy to take that job right away, because I would have the first half of the year to do some things that are normal and be normal. And I knew that I would miss being at the track. And don't get that confused with like being behind the wheel, but when you go to the racetrack every single weekend, even when you're a kid, forget my driving career, I've been going to the racetrack since the early 80s. As often as I could, every single weekend if I could. I've been going to the races. So I couldn't stop, just quit doing that. And when you quit driving cars and show up at a racetrack with nothing to do, it is the weirdest feeling. You feel useless. You feel like, what am I doing here? So I knew I wanted to be going to the track, and I knew I needed a purpose when I got there. And luckily, man, I didn't think I was ever going to, if in 2015, broadcasting was not on the radar. Being in the booth, doing any of that stuff was not a thought. And somehow somebody talked me into going and doing a Fox race in Michigan for Xfinity with Michael Waltrip. And then people were giving me compliments and like, man, you're pretty good, But they say that about every driver that goes up there and does those races. And then I got hurt in 16, and I went in the booth at Talladega and Martinsville for NBC. So I got in there and I called the race with Letarte and Burton and Rick Allen, and I got phone calls from Marty Smith and people like that going, dude, you have the pace, the cadence, the tempo, the energy. If you wanted to do this, you could do it. And then we were getting calls from the networks going, are you interested in talking about doing this one day? And so it checked the boxes for me of I want to be at the track, and I want to be at the track with a reason to be there, a purpose, a job.